Ever wish you had more time, to do all things you want to do?
Oh, absolutely.
I think we all feel that way sometimes,
Yeah.
especially as we get older.
Yeah.
And guess what? That desire for more time, more energy, it's actually driving a ton of interest in this idea of extending human lifespan.
Really?
It's like everyone's suddenly become obsessed with finding the fountain of youth. So, in this deep dive, we're going to explore that very question. Can we actually hack the aging process?
Wow. Okay.
We're looking at it from three different angles:
hmm
biohacking, regenerative medicine, and personalized nutrition.
Okay.
Think of it as our quest to unlock the secrets of longevity.
I like it.
We've got some fascinating sources to guide us on this journey. Aging and longevity. Why knowing the difference is important to nutrition research PMC. Genetics of longevity and aging. Life expectancy may be reaching upper limits. For now, Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. Hacking time. The witty, wild, and wonderful journey to longevity. And what's the difference between aging and longevity?
Okay.
Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button, share this with your friends, and subscribe to Visions Beyond for more mind-expanding deep dives.
Right.
And if you have any burning questions or topics you'd love us to explore, drop a comment below.
Okay, let's get started.
Okay, let's get started. One of the most surprising things I came across in our research was this idea that even though people are living longer these days, we're not necessarily getting more healthy years.
Yeah.
It's like we're adding years to our lives, but not necessarily life to our years.
That's a really important distinction, and it highlights the difference between aging itself, which is all about the decline in function we experience over time,
Right.
and longevity, which simply refers to how long we live. What's fascinating is that these two processes actually have different biological drivers,
Okay.
which is a key piece of the puzzle when it comes to understanding how we can age better and potentially even extend our lifespans.
So it's not just about stretching out our time on Earth. It's about making sure those extra years are actually enjoyable, right?
Exactly.
Who wants to live to 100 if they're spending most of those years feeling unwell?
Exactly. Quality over quantity, as they say. And this brings us to a really interesting point raised in the Harvard article. Their research suggests that maximum human lifespan hasn't really budged in recent decades, despite all the advancements we've made in medicine and technology.
Hmm.
It's like there's a ceiling, a limit on how long we can live, at least for now. They even call it a glass mortality floor, which I think is a pretty striking image.
Okay, so there might be a limit, but does that mean we can't push those boundaries a little further? That's where the whole idea of hacking our biology comes in, right?
Absolutely. And the beauty of biohacking is that it can encompass a wide range of approaches,
Yeah.
from simple lifestyle tweaks to more complex interventions. Think of it as a spectrum, with things like using wearables to track your sleep on one end and experimenting with cutting-edge genetic therapies on the other.
I love the idea of being able to take control of our own biology, like
Yeah.
we're the engineers of our own bodies.
Yeah.
And speaking of engineering, the Hacking Time book we have actually uses that analogy, comparing our bodies to these complex machines that we can learn to optimize and upgrade.
And just like with any machine, there are certain principles and tools we can use to improve performance and longevity.
Right.
For example, you mentioned wearables,
Yeah.
which have become incredibly sophisticated in recent years.
Right.
They've gone way beyond simple step counters. Now you can get wearables that monitor your heart rate variability,
okay.
track your sleep stages, even measure your stress levels in real time.
Wow.
It's almost like having a mini doctor on your wrist, constantly collecting data and giving you feedback on how your body is functioning.
That's so cool. I can definitely see how that kind of data could empower people to make healthier choices and potentially even spot early warning signs of health issues.
Right.
But what about some of the other biohacking techniques out there? I've heard a lot about intermittent fasting lately, and it seems like everyone's trying it.
Intermittent fasting is a great example of a biohack that's gained a lot of traction, and for good reason. There's growing evidence that it can have a number of benefits for cellular health, including something called autophagy.
Oh,
Have you
yeah,
heard of that?
I have, but I admit I'm still a little fuzzy on the details. It has something to do with our cells cleaning themselves up, right? Like
Yeah.
taking out the trash.
That's a perfect analogy. Autophagy is essentially a process where your cells recycle and break down old or damaged components, kind of like a built-in detox system.
Right.
And research suggests that intermittent fasting can actually ramp up this process,
Yeah.
helping to clear out cellular debris and improve overall function.
Wow.
It's like giving your cells a spring cleaning.
So by strategically timing when we eat, we can actually trigger our bodies to clean house at a cellular level.
That's amazing. I definitely need to look into this more.
I think you'll find it fascinating. There's a whole world of research emerging on the benefits of intermittent fasting, not just for weight loss, but for overall health and longevity.
Okay, so we've covered wearables and intermittent fasting, but there's another area of biohacking that I find particularly mind-blowing: genetic biohacking.
Uh-huh.
The idea that we might one day be able to edit our genes to slow down aging or even prevent diseases.
Right.
It's both exhilarating and a little terrifying.
It's definitely a frontier that raises a lot of ethical questions, and we'll delve into those a bit later.
Mm.
But from a purely scientific perspective, the potential of genetic biohacking is immense.
Okay.
Imagine being able to target specific genes that contribute to age-related decline
Yeah.
or increase our resilience to certain diseases. It's like taking evolution into our own hands, right?
In a way, yes. But it's important to remember that we're still in the very early stages of understanding the complexities of the human genome.
Right.
There are over 20,000 genes in our DNA, and each one interacts with others in intricate ways. So while the idea of gene editing is exciting, we need to proceed with caution and a deep respect for the potential unintended consequences.
That makes sense. It's like we're dealing with the delicate ecosystem.
Mm.
And even small changes can have ripple effects throughout the system.
Precisely. But despite the challenges, the research in this field is moving at an incredible pace.
Ah.
And I think we're going to see some truly groundbreaking advancements in the years to come.
Okay. I'm officially excited about the future. But before we get too carried away with gene editing,
Right.
let's shift gears and talk about another fascinating area of longevity research: regenerative medicine.
Okay.
This is the stuff of science fiction, right? Repairing or replacing damaged tissues and organs.
Yeah.
It's like having a built-in body shop.
It's a great analogy. And while we're not quite at the point of 3D printing entire organs on demand, the progress in regenerative medicine is truly remarkable. One of the most promising tools in this field is stem cells,
Right.
which are essentially the blank slates of our bodies.
I've heard so much about stem cells, but I'm still not entirely clear on what makes them so special.
Yeah,
Can you break it down for us?
of course. Stem cells are unique because they have the ability to differentiate into many different types of cells.
Okay.
They're like the master builders of our bodies, capable of repairing and regenerating tissues that were once thought to be beyond repair. Think about heart damage after a heart attack or spinal cord injuries,
Wow.
conditions that were once considered irreversible. Stem cell therapy offers hope for restoring function and improving quality of life for people with these conditions.
So stem cells are like tiny little superheroes swooping in to save the day when our bodies need repair.
That's a great way to put it. And the amazing thing is that stem cells can be harvested from various sources, including our own bone marrow, or even from umbilical cord blood, which is a rich source of these powerful cells.
This is all so incredible. I can't wait to see what the future holds for stem cell therapy.
Yeah,
It feels like we're on the cusp of a medical revolution.
I completely agree. The potential of regenerative medicine is truly vast, and I think it's going to transform how we approach healthcare in the 21st century.
Okay. I'm already feeling like I need to upgrade my biohacking game.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more area I want to touch on: personalized nutrition. It's not just about eating less. It's about eating smarter based on your unique biology, right?
Exactly. Personalized nutrition takes into account a whole range of factors, including your genetics, your gut microbiome, even your lifestyle and environmental exposures.
Wow.
It's about fine-tuning your diet to give your body exactly what it needs to thrive.
I have to admit, the whole gut microbiome thing still kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's like we have this whole universe of bacteria living inside us.
That's right.
Can you remind us how it impacts aging?
Of course. You see, those trillions of bacteria in our gut, our microbiome, play a much bigger role than we once thought.
Right.
They influence everything from digestion and nutrient absorption to our immune system function.
Right.
And emerging research suggests they may even play a role in how we age.
So, a healthy gut equals a longer life. Sign me up.
Well, it's not quite that simple, but there's definitely a connection.
Okay.
And that's where personalized nutrition comes in.
Okay.
It might involve analyzing your gut flora to see what's up, and then tailoring your diet to promote a healthy balance. Pretty cool, right?
Super cool. But what about the genetics part? I read somewhere that our genes can actually affect how we process food. Is that right?
That's the fascinating field of nutrigenomics. It's based on the idea that our genes influence how we metabolize nutrients. And this knowledge can be used to create personalized diets that reduce disease risk and promote overall health.
Wait, so you're saying that what's healthy for one person might not be healthy for another
Exact.
based on their genes.
Precisely. It's a whole new way of thinking about nutrition, and it has the potential to revolutionize how we approach diet and health, particularly as we age.
It's all so much to process. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive, from biohacking our sleep to 3D printing organs. It's clear that the quest for a longer, healthier life is more exciting than ever. But before we get too carried away with all the possibilities, I think it's important to step back and consider the ethical implications of these advancements.
Right.
If we could radically extend human lifespan, wouldn't that have huge implications for society,
Yeah.
for our relationships, for the planet? I mean, what does it all mean? We'll be back after a quick break to explore those questions and more.
Sounds good. It's true, the potential to extend lifespan raises some pretty profound questions about what it means to be human and how our society might need to adapt.
Right. It's like you're stepping into uncharted territory. So where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Well, one of the most pressing concerns is the issue of access. If these longevity interventions become incredibly expensive, as many new technologies often are at first,
Right.
will only the wealthy be able to afford them? That could create a whole new level of inequality,
Yeah.
with a society divided between those who can afford to hack their aging process and those who can't.
It's a chilling thought, almost like a dystopian sci-fi movie, where the rich live for centuries while everyone else struggles just to make ends meet.
Right.
I wonder, what kind of societal changes would we need to make to ensure that these advancements benefit everyone, not just a privileged few?
That's the million-dollar question. It would require a fundamental shift in our thinking about healthcare and access to these life-extending technologies. Perhaps a universal basic income or some form of subsidized healthcare that covers these interventions could help bridge the gap.
It definitely seems like we'd need to rethink our current economic and social systems if we're going to navigate this new landscape of extended lifespans.
Yeah.
But even if we could solve the access issue, wouldn't there be other challenges? Like, what about the impact on resources and the environment? Could the planet sustain a population that's living significantly longer?
Those are absolutely valid concerns. A longer-lived population would undoubtedly put a strain on resources, from food and water to energy and housing.
Right.
We'd need to find more sustainable ways to meet those needs and minimize our environmental impact.
I imagine things like renewable energy, vertical farming, and sustainable urban planning would become even more crucial in a world where people are living for 100 years or more. It's almost like these longevity advancements are forcing us to confront some of the biggest challenges facing humanity right now.
In a way, yes, it's like a wake-up call to accelerate our efforts to create a more sustainable and equitable future.
But let's zoom in a bit from the global perspective to a more personal level.
Oh.
What about the impact on our relationships and careers? If people are living for 150 years, would traditional concepts of marriage, family, and retirement even make sense anymore?
That's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Imagine multiple marriages or blended families spanning generations.
Wow.
Would people have multiple careers over the course of a century or more? Would we need to rethink the whole concept of education and lifelong learning?
It would be fascinating to see how societal norms and values might evolve in a world where aging is no longer the limiting factor it is now. Perhaps we'd see a greater emphasis on personal growth and fulfillment throughout our lives, rather than feeling pressured to achieve everything by a certain age.
That's a really intriguing possibility. Maybe extended lifespans could free us from some of the constraints and pressures of our current societal timelines.
Okay, I'm starting to see both the challenges and the incredible opportunities that could come with cracking the code of longevity.
Yeah.
But before we get too lost in speculation, let's bring it back to the science.
Yeah.
We talked about some of the most promising areas of research, like biohacking, regenerative medicine, and personalized nutrition. Are there any other breakthroughs on the horizon that you're particularly excited about?
Absolutely. One area that's generating a lot of buzz in the scientific community is epigenetic reprogramming. Have you heard of that?
I've seen the term, but I have to admit it sounds a bit like science fiction.
Yeah.
What is epigenetic reprogramming, and how could it impact aging?
It's a bit complex, but I'll try to break it down. Essentially, epigenetics is the study of how our environment and lifestyle choices can actually influence the way our genes are expressed.
Okay.
You see, Our DNA sequence itself doesn't change, but the way those genes are turned on or off can be affected by things like our diet, stress levels, exposure to toxins, and even our social interactions.
So it's like our experiences are actually leaving their mark on our DNA, even though the code itself remains the same.
Exactly. And these epigenetic changes can accumulate over time, contributing to age-related decline. But here's the exciting part. Scientists are now exploring ways to reverse those changes through a process called epigenetic reprogramming.
So it's like hitting the reset button on our cells,
Right.
erasing the epigenetic memory of aging. That sounds incredible, but how does it actually work?
Researchers are investigating various techniques, but one promising avenue involves using specific molecules to target and modify those epigenetic marks.
Hmm.
It's almost like giving ourselves a spa day, exfoliating those aging marks and revealing a younger, fresher version underneath.
I love that analogy. It
Yeah.
makes it so much easier to understand. So are there any practical applications of this yet? Can I go out and get my epigenome reprogrammed?
It's still early days, but there are already companies offering epigenetic testing and personalized recommendations based on your epigenetic profile. And as the research progresses, I think we'll see more targeted therapies emerge that can actually reprogram our epigenome to promote healthy aging and potentially even reverse some of the effects of aging.
Okay, I'm definitely adding epigenetic testing to my to-do list. It's amazing to think that we might have the power to influence our own aging process at such a fundamental level. What other cutting-edge research should we be keeping an eye on?
Another area that's showing a lot of promise is senolytics drugs that specifically target and eliminate senescent cells. Have you heard of those?
I'm not sure I have. What are senescent cells and why do we want to get rid of them?
Think of senescent cells as zombie cells. They're alive, but not functioning properly. They've stopped dividing and they start pumping out inflammatory molecules that damage surrounding tissues.
So they're like the grumpy neighbors of our bodies, always complaining and causing trouble.
Exactly. And as we age, those senescent cells accumulate, contributing to inflammation, tissue damage, and ultimately age-related decline.
So the idea is to get rid of those grumpy neighbors and let the rest of the body thrive. Makes sense.
Right.
But how do we actually target these senescent cells?
That's where senolytics come in. These drugs are designed to selectively seek out and destroy senescent cells, clearing out the cellular debris and allowing healthy cells to flourish.
That's amazing. Are there any senolytic drugs available yet?
There are several promising candidates in clinical trials right now, and early results are encouraging. But as with any new drug, there are potential side effects and safety concerns that need to be carefully evaluated before they become widely available.
It sounds like we're getting closer to having tools that can actually target the root causes of aging. It's also fascinating. But I'm wondering, what can our listeners do right now to start hacking their own time? Do we all need to become biohackers or wait for these futuristic therapies to become available?
Not at all. There are plenty of things you can do right now to promote healthy aging and potentially extend your lifespan. Remember, it's about taking a holistic approach, and that starts with the basics.
Okay, let's hear it. What are the top 3 things people can do today to boost their longevity?
First and foremost, prioritize a healthy lifestyle. That means eating a nutritious diet, getting regular exercise, managing stress, and getting enough sleep.
Those are the classics, but they really do make a difference, right?
Absolutely. These lifestyle factors have a huge impact on our overall health and well-being, and they lay the foundation for healthy aging.
Okay, what's number 2 on the longevity checklist?
Stay curious and engaged. Keep learning new things. Challenge your mind. Pursue your passions.
I love that. It's like that saying, use it or lose it. Our brains need stimulation just like our bodies do.
Exactly. Mental and social engagement are crucial for maintaining cognitive function and overall well-being as we age.
Okay, I'm taking notes. What's the 3rd piece of the longevity puzzle?
Be proactive about your health. Get regular checkups, talk to your doctor about any concerns, and stay informed about the latest research and advancements.
Great advice. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to our health. This whole deep dive has been an incredible journey so far. We've explored the cutting-edge science of longevity, delved into the ethical considerations, and even got some practical tips for hacking our own aging process. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on all of this? What stands out to you as the most exciting or perhaps the most concerning aspect of this quest to extend human lifespan? We'll be back. I don't know about you, but my mind is buzzing after that last segment. We've covered so much ground in this deep dive, from biohacking our way to better sleep, to the potential of actually reversing aging at a cellular level.
It really is a fascinating time to be exploring the science of longevity. There's so much happening right now that has the potential to transform how we think about aging and the human lifespan.
Exactly. But before we get too carried away with all the exciting possibilities, I think it's important to acknowledge that there's also a lot of hype and misinformation out there when it comes to longevity. You know, people selling all sorts of supplements and gadgets that promise to slow down aging or even reverse it completely. It can be hard to know what to believe.
You're absolutely right. There's definitely a lot of snake oil out there preying on people's desire to stay young and healthy. It's crucial to approach these claims with a healthy dose of skepticism.
So how can we separate the science from the pseudoscience? What are some red flags to watch out for?
A good rule of thumb is to look for evidence-based research, peer-reviewed studies, and be wary of anecdotal claims or testimonials. Remember, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
And I guess it's important to remember that there's no magic bullet, right? Longevity isn't about finding one miracle cure. It's about making informed choices about our lifestyle, our diet, our healthcare, and taking a proactive approach to our health.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that everything is interconnected, our genes, our environment, our choices. It's about taking a holistic approach to healthy aging rather than searching for a quick fix.
Well said. So, with that in mind, what are some practical steps our listeners can take today to start hacking their own time and potentially extending their health span? Do we all need to become biohackers and start experimenting with intermittent fasting and gene editing?
Not necessarily. While those approaches certainly have their place, there are plenty of simple yet powerful things you can do right now to promote healthy aging. Remember those basics we talked about earlier? They really are the foundation of a long and healthy life.
You mean eating a healthy diet, exercising regularly, managing stress, and getting enough sleep?
Exactly. Those might sound cliche, but they're backed by decades of scientific research, and they have a profound impact on our overall health and well-being.
Okay, so those are the non-negotiables. But are there any other hacks or strategies that you'd recommend? Especially for those of us who are maybe a little more adventurous and want to push the boundaries of what's possible?
Well, if you're looking to go beyond the basics, there are a few things you might consider. First, think about incorporating some form of mindfulness or meditation into your daily routine. Research shows that these practices can have a significant impact on stress reduction, cognitive function, and even cellular aging.
I've definitely heard about the benefits of mindfulness and meditation, but I'll admit I've struggled to make them a consistent part of my life. Any tips for getting started?
Start small.
Yeah.
Even 5 or 10 minutes of focused breathing or guided meditation can make a difference. There are tons of great apps and online resources available, so experiment and find what works best for you.
Okay, that's doable. What else can we do to level up our longevity game?
Another area to explore is something called hormesis. It's a bit of a geeky term, but essentially it refers to the idea that exposing ourselves to small doses of stress can actually make us stronger and more resilient in the long run.
So it's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly. Think about things like cold showers, intermittent fasting, or even high-intensity interval training. These activities create a temporary stress response in the body, but over time, they can actually strengthen our cells and improve our overall health.
Wow, that's fascinating. I'm definitely going to look into hormesis more. It's amazing to think that we can actually use stress to our advantage.
It is. And finally, remember the importance of social connection. Humans are social creatures, and strong social bonds have been linked to everything from improved mental health to increased lifespan. Make time for meaningful relationships with family and friends, join social groups, volunteer in your community. These connections can have a profound impact on your overall well-being.
That's such an important reminder. Sometimes we get so caught up in the pursuit of individual health and longevity that we forget about the power of connection and community.
Absolutely. Ultimately, a long and healthy life is about more than just adding years to our lifespan. It's about living those years to the fullest with purpose, joy, and connection.
This whole deep dive has been an incredible journey. We've explored the cutting-edge science of longevity, delved into the ethical considerations, and even got some practical tips for hacking our own aging process. It's a complex and rapidly evolving field, but one thing's for sure. The quest for a longer, healthier life is more exciting than ever.
It truly is an exciting time to be alive, and while there's still much we don't know, the research happening right now is paving the way for a future where aging may no longer be seen as an inevitable decline, but as a dynamic process we can influence and optimize.
So to wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought. What if we reframed aging, not as something to fear, but as an opportunity for growth, exploration, and continued learning. What if we embrace the wisdom and experience that come with each passing year, while also harnessing the power of science and technology to enhance our health span and make the most of every moment?
That's a beautiful way to put it. The future of longevity is not just about extending our lifespan, it's about enriching the quality of our lives and embracing the full potential of human experience.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Visions Beyond for more mind-bending explorations of science, technology, and the future. And be sure to leave a comment letting us know what future topics you'd like us to explore. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep hacking time.